I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of Judges, chapter 11. So let's focus on verses 1 through 6. Jephthah, the Gileadite, was a great warrior, but he was the son of a prostitute, and Gilead was his father. Now Gilead's wife bore him sons, and when they grew up, they drove Jephthah out, and they said to him, "You will have no inheritance in our father's house, because you are a son of another woman." So Jephthah fled from his brothers and lived in the land of Tov. And then some lawless men joined Jephthah, and they traveled with him. And sometime later, the Ammonites fought against Israel. And when the Ammonites made war with Israel, the elders of Gilead went to get Jephthah from the land of Tov. And they said to him, "Come and be our commander, and let's fight against the Ammonites." You know, the sin of prostitution in the Bible is seen in two lights. First, it is the literal act of prostitution, obviously a sin. And then there is a spiritual prostitution, also known as spiritual adultery. And in both cases, there are two parties involved: the party selling themselves and the party who elicits the prostitute's services. So Judges 11 is the story of the sour fruits of both literal and spiritual prostitution. Gilead strayed from God's path, and the generations that followed paid the biggest price. You know, and even today's secular culture, it's shameful, but by no means unforgivable, to have been born as a result of an act of prostitution. It doesn't surprise me that Gilead's legitimate sons, as it were, would loathe the existence of Jephthah. In seeking to cover the family's shame in order to recover its reputation, they distanced themselves from the evidence of their father's sin. And it's quite possible that Jephthah was his father's firstborn, simply because the story begins with his birth. And that would mean the son of prostitution would eventually lead the legitimate children. Interesting is how even today's most non-Messianic Jews that don't believe in Jesus, that they consider Jesus' birth as illegitimate. And that's pretty much where the Jephthah-Jesus similarities end. Perhaps it was the circumstances surrounding Jephthah's illegitimate birth which denied him solid spiritual teaching. Maybe the rebels that he hung around with had a negative influence on his spiritual discernment. And whatever it was, Jephthah made an impetuous oath to the Lord, and it cost him his firstborn child. Now, the overall lesson of Judges 11 is that one compromise leads to another. Compromise builds upon compromise. And unless we commit ourselves to know the Lord, following Him through a saving relationship with Jesus, and then studying His Word, the Bible, well, then spiritual true north will always elude us. Even our best intentions without the Lord can lead us down destructive paths. Let's learn this lesson from Jephthah so we don't have to live it ourselves. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. You know, Groundworks Ministries exists because of faithful donations from people like you, people who are being blessed by the ministry, so they give back so that we can expand and bless even more. You can donate at our website, groundworksministries.com.